2015 saw the Locum Doctor trilogy be released, and with that being a successful big finish, they thought, why not replicate it? In 2016, we saw the Two Masters trilogy containing And You Will Obey Me, Vampire of the Mind, and the Two Masters.
Yes, the first story, And You'll Obey Me, written by Alan Barnes, features the Fifth Doctor, played by Peter Davison, and the Crispy Master, played by Jeffrey Beavers, which is a story that sees the Master seemingly passed away in
Yes,
a little rural town not far away from Little Hodcombe,
yeah,
where the Fifth Doctor,
Hexfords, isn't it? The
yeah,
story.
little rural Hexford, little quaint village in England, where his TARDIS, this grandfather clock as it's disguised, is up for auction, and the Fifth Doctor is investigating what happened to his old friend. I mean,
Yes,
I had quite a good time with this one.
I I had a really good time with this one. I think it made me reflect on 2016 Peter Davison, because I think 2016 was the year where Peter Davison became the king of the main range. Because up until this point, he had Aquitaine and the Peterloo Massacre, two heavy hitters, and then we had this story, which is a step down compared to those two, but it's still brilliant stuff within it. And I think it was very tantalizing having a Fifth Doctor Master story because there aren't that many on Big Finish.
No, I mean, he certainly had quite a few encounters on TV, didn't he, with
Yeah,
Anthony Ainley. But when it comes to Big Finish, I suppose up until recently, where we've had John Coleshaw step into the shoes to become the Tree Master, there hasn't really been that many opportunities. And
no.
I mean, even when you look at the main range, there's not that much of the Master throughout the years up until this trilogy. I think three or four releases before this one came along.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say so. Just
yeah,
off the top of my head, yeah.
which is funny to think, like now, when you consider how many stories different masters all pop up in, particularly with the new series license. You know, you've got Derek Jacobi, Michelle Gomez, Eric
Got Sasha
Roberts has
Dewan.
yeah, Sasha Dewan's coming along. Eric Roberts has stepped back into the role. You know, crazy things have happened with the Master. So it's funny to think that just 8 years ago, how big of an event this trilogy was, really. We hadn't had any multi-master stories up until this point. And so for this master who had only had one appearance on TV, or but two, but only one played by Jeffrey Beavers, his original appearance in the Deadly Assassin, he was played by Peter Pratt. And alongside that, you've got Alex McQueen, who is a Big Finish original master.
Yeah.
We, yeah, I mean, when you put those two things together, not to diminish them at all, but it's kind of funny to think how big of an event that felt. And
Yeah.
it deserves to be, really. It is this big event. And I think it's a wonderfully written event as a whole, particularly the end when we get to that.
Mm.
But no,
We
I
start to
think,
get the answers, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's funny how similar it is to what we get now with something like Sontarans versus Rutans, actually. You know, feeling how unique that felt at this time. But then looking back on this and thinking, actually, we were getting something along those lines in the trilogy format in 2016, even. I
Mm.
mean, multi-Doctor trilogies had been around for a little while. You even had like the Villains trilogy back in
Yeah.
2003, didn't you, for the
Yes.
40th anniversary? Uh, and then what was that? There's a funny one in 2012, wasn't there, as well? Burning Prince,
Oh yeah, it's all
Arceus
about
Pulse, and
the planet, the Shallow Heart. Yeah, about this planet and society.
yeah, no, of course,
Yeah, I think that
19,
might. Yeah, and then you have the '63 trilogy.
yeah. And then took a year off. We got our Locum Doctor trilogy, and then it sort of became tradition for a couple of years to have this April to June slot be a multi-Doctor trilogy of some kind, and this one was chosen in 2016 to celebrate 45 years of the Master.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're not saying much about And You Will Obey Me because it's sort of hard to go into without spoiling it.
I think part one's great. There's a wonderful atmosphere to
Hmm.
it, with the Fifth Doctor trying to uncover what has actually happened to the Master. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a difficult one because what happened kind of spirals. There's a lot of twists and
There's a lot
turns.
going on in
There's
this one.
dragonfly assassins.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not quite as quaint and simple as you might expect it to be from the cover and synopsis.
it has this wonderful comic book feel to it, like you'd get in a Doctor Who magazine, and that fits Alan Barnes's writing style very well.
Hmm.
It feels like this could be in Stockbridge, and the story would work just as fine. But the little references to the Awakening fits rather well, really.
Yeah. I mean, what would you give it out of 10?
I'd give it an 8. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I think I'd go an 8 as well.
I think part 4 it does dip a lot because it gets way down in techno babble.
I think also the problem with part 4 and the conclusion is that it's had so much going on up until this point that it sort of feels like it just rushes to an end.
Yes.
Which is a shame. Nevertheless, strong stuff from that one. And I think, yeah, love the atmosphere of part 1 and part 3 as well. I think that's got a very good vibe to it.
Yeah,
that's a rather
backstories and stuff. Yeah, really good.
Rather unique part.
Vampire on the Mind, on the other hand, is
by Justin Richards
and Alex McQueen's a Master. Interesting combo. The Big Finish Doctor, Big Finish Champion, the Sixth Doctor, and the Big Finish Master, Alex McQueen. I think my main takeaway with this trilogy, and mainly Vampire of the Mind, is how much I miss Alex McQueen and how much of a good master he is.
I would say even more so Two Masters
yes,
made me miss McQueen, but certainly this story as well. He is wonderful in both. I mean, that was one of my main reasons for wanting to revisit this, was to hear McQueen as the Master once again, because my goodness, did we have something special here? I talk in the past tense as if, because I hope we do hear from him again, but it does seem like we're busy with quite a few other Masters at the moment. It's been over 3 years
Masterful was the
we last had him. Yeah. And even that felt like, a special return for the character.
Yeah.
Because, like we say, at this time, Big Finish didn't have access to quite as many Masters as they suddenly do now. We're getting multi-Master stories fairly often with Masterful, Day of the Master. Even on TV, that's happened now with World Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls. Again, I thought just emphasizing how special this felt to us as Big Finish fans back in 2016, and how, that shouldn't be taken for granted. And I don't mean that in the sense that, it removes some flaws from the story, or, you overlook some things because it's something unique that we didn't think we'd get. I think it lives up to and exceeds those expectations that you'd have for a, Two Masters story. It doesn't just say, oh, let's throw Two Masters together and be done with it. It's very special, very tightly woven. There's a reason it's a trilogy. These stories all connect together brilliantly come the end, but Vampire of the Mind is the weakest.
It's a bit of a slog.
It's very traditional Doctor Who for the most part.
Yeah, it's safe.
Even to the point that part 3 feels like going round in circles.
Yeah. It's set on the same island as the Sea Devils, the prison. We've got the Master running this science institute, the Dominus Institute.
It gave me Invasion vibes early on, because you've got the Doctor turning up on the doorstep of an old friend, a scientist, and his old friend's not there, he's gone missing, but his daughter's there, and so they look for his old friend together, which, very much fits with looking for Professor Travis, ends up being Watkins, but Watkins is missing. It's that sort of same vibe. But
And I
yeah,
guess
like you
Time
say.
Warrior as well, with like the missing scientists
Hmm.
becoming blanks and mindless servants to an alien.
Yeah. But it is mainly McQueen that I think we were here for. And
Yeah.
certainly he excels in every scene. But similar to Beavers in And You Will a Baby, they're not in it as much, these first two stories.
Mm.
There's, I think you've got a fair bit to do. But it's mainly come the Two Masters, where I think they both have more to do than they did
Oh, it's
individually
fair
in
show.
their own stories. Yeah. But first, Vampire of the Mind out of 10. We're
7.
jumping all over the place.
7.
Yeah, I agree. 7 is the number for this one. It's fine. It's barely meat
It's
and potatoes
serviceable.
Doctor Who. It doesn't drag the trilogy down by any means.
I will say the ending, bloody dark.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
yeah, how that links, great, love it.
yeah. But your main event, and I think you can listen to this one on its own and still enjoy it. If you don't want to get the whole trilogy, you're not going to be lost if you dive into the Two Masters. But if you listen to the whole trilogy, I think you get a more satisfying, grander picture. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. This story retroactively enhances the first two. Without going into too much detail as to why, but Jeffrey Beavers and Alex McQueen really show off their acting chops, get some very interesting stuff to do. They are very much the stars of it.
It is. It's fairly Doctor Light, isn't it? Really.
You could see why when it came to Masterful that they turned around and went, actually, let's not bother including the Doctor in this
Yeah.
one. Not that McCoy gets cut short per se. When he's I was about to say on screen, but it's not on screen because it's audio. But when he's in the scene,
Yeah.
he's really going for it.
And he fits the story well because of the chess player aspect of his Doctor in this story, and how it, the resolution. I think as well, it being a TV movie style Seventh Doctor, it's kind of what I'd want from like The Last Day. You can imagine like the Daleks popping up in this and taking the Master away, and standing trial or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I think thematically, funny enough, there are some things that hint towards The Last Day retro. I mean, I doubt it was intentional, but certainly it's funny looking at it in retrospect and thinking, oh, that could be an unintentional sowing of a seed there for the Seventh Doctor's character.
Because this is just so bold and epic. You've got the TARDIS flying through like a massive war fleet being fired at. You've got the Rocket Men. You've got this whole thing with the Vortex, with chunks of the Vortex being missing. You've got this crazy cult. It's got everything there within it. Really,
it's a grand story. It's quite a long story as well. The parts are chunky ones.
Yeah, part 4 is around 38 minutes, so it's pretty much 40 minutes.
Yeah, average is about 35 minutes apart, really. And it doesn't feel like it at all. This one I breezed through easily because it's just so much fun. And I think a lot of that does come down to that chemistry between McQueen and Beavers. There's some wonderful comedy. Yeah.
Especially with the TCE, and I think the sound design for the TCE is brilliant as you sort of get this sort of shrinking of the voice of the victim. That's beautifully done.
I think you almost get a Pertwee Troughton dynamic here, where McQueen's sort of your Troughton, he's the more fun-loving one, whereas Beavers is your Pertwee, it's the more serious, no-nonsense one, and that combination works really well, but it's much more chaotic now because they're the villains in this story. And yeah, I love this story even more than I remembered the first time. I feel like I took this trilogy for granted back in 2016. Looking back on it now, I appreciate it so much more. I appreciate how much fun this story in particular is. Dare I say 10 out of 10?
Oh, I'd go 9 personally.
I'm 9.5 I'll go for. I really did.
It's still a very solid rating. Like
Yeah.
you can't go
It
wrong.
really did surprise me. I mean, there's some wonderful lines throughout this trilogy as well. I forgot to mention when we did Vampire of the Mind, there's this great line from the Master where someone calls him Inhuman, and he's like, "I'm a Time Lord. Of course, I'm Inhuman."
Yes.
Which, yeah, brilliantly played by McQueen. Yeah, it's worth picking this trilogy up.
Or revisiting it. If you've got it, revisit it.
Yeah, and I think particularly for me, I'd only listened to it once.
Same here.
And so going back through it again with the context of the Two Masters, yeah, I think certainly you pick up on a lot. And funnily enough, some issues that I had actually, were made sense of and were no longer issues. It was went from a weakness to a strength, but I can't go into detail as to why. But yeah, Two Masters reveals things that does retroactively improve the first two stories, and so getting to re-listen to them with the context of that was an eye-opener, really. And so, yeah, Two Masters Trilogy. I think it's fair to say we both say it's worth a pickup.
Yeah, it's a good little one well, I say little one, it's a chunky one in the end. Worth it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're pushed for budget a bit more, don't worry, you can go into the Two Masters without the previous two, and I don't think you'll be disappointed.
No.
And it's certainly, of your multi-master options from Big Finish, it's your cheapest one.
Yeah.
And dare I say, the best one? Or Day of the Master is very brilliant too, though.
I love Masterful.
I do quite like Masterful, but I feel like Day of the Master and Two Masters, it doesn't quite hold a candle to.
Okay.
But Figures of Day of the Master, that's at the very end of Ravenous.
Yeah,
You've got a lot of
that's expensive
context before that. Two Masters, there are two preceding stories, but you can get it on its own, and it works just as well. Oh, I've just realised John Dorney also wrote the end of Sontaras vs. Rutans. Funny enough.
It all linked somewhere.
Yeah, we compared them, and yeah, now it sort of makes sense as to why. Yeah, let us know who your favourite master is in the comments below. I mean, it's always going to be Roger Delgado for me, but there's not been a bad master though. They're all brilliant. Please bring back Alex McQueen, Big Finish. He is incredible. We've got some beavers coming up this month, haven't we?
Yeah, double beavers. We've got Last Day Part 2 and Metamorphosis.
Yeah, Metamorphosis already out. I mean, we're celebrating 8 years of this Two Masters release as well. Came out June 2016, but now in June 2024. Doesn't time fly? Yeah, I think we've gone on enough.
I think we have.
I think I certainly have.
Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back for more Big Finish shenanigans very soon. So take care and bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.